Let's turn to now Christchurch, where houses that are deemed vulnerable to sea level rise will still carry warnings despite the efforts of homeowners. Christchurch City Council is not backing down despite a peer review which said they should be removed from the 18,000 affected properties until the accuracy of the Tonkin and Taylor report the council was relying upon could be verified. It's a very big issue in parts of Christchurch. Here's our local government reporter in the city, Conan Young.
A year ago, coastal residents facing the prospect of being tarred with the brush of being vulnerable to flooding and erosion were given a reprieve by Environment Minister Nick Smith. He said planning rule changes would exclude making a call on the risk they faced until a proper process could be completed. Fast forward to September 2016 and today's decision to retain the warnings, albeit with a few extra words around further work being required before a definitive statement can be made on the exact nature of the risk. The Council's Chief Executive, Carleen Edwards, says it's important to remember the peer review found the original report the Council relied upon was largely correct.
The conclusion of the peer review panel was that the methodology and data used in the report was probably technically suitable and robust after further work was carried out.
Carleen Edwards says detail around whether a property is vulnerable to erosion or flooding will be replaced with a general warning. She says prospective property buyers will still be able to access the more detailed information by getting in touch with the council. And despite what the peer review recommended, she says the council did not have a choice about whether to remove the warnings from the limbs altogether.
We have a statutory obligation under Local Government Act that if we hold information, then we need to share that, on the limbs and appropriately. So it's important for people who are going to invest or develop or purchase a property that they're made aware of any particular hazards.
Seaside resident and spokesperson for the Coastal Residents United group, Daryl Latham, begs to differ with the council on the accuracy of the Tonkin and Taylor report.
What the Tonkin and Taylor peer review report said was subject to a review being undertaken and more robust processes carried out. The recommendation was that at this stage was not fit for purpose.
Another Seaside resident and chair of the residents group, Tim Sinters, says retaining the warnings prevents him and his neighbours from doing anything with their properties.
It means that when somebody comes along to you and perhaps goes to buy your house and notices there's a hazard notice, it puts a warning, so it's a bargaining point, so it's hard for the seller.
Councillor David East, who represents the Seaside ward of Burwood-Pegasus, says the council is being overly risk-averse when it comes to climate change.
It's all predicated on extreme levels of greenhouse gases. Well, if we were clever enough to harness solar energy more and battery power, the reliance on fossil fuels will just decrease and perhaps the magnitude of climate change may drop with it.
The new amended limb reports will apply from today. The council's chief executive says the limbs will be amended again once the review of the hazard report has been completed. In Ototahi for Checkpoint, ko Conan Young tēnei.